It's been a wretched season for Manchester United, with a very real prospect of finishing in their lowest ever Premier League position. It's raised fresh question marks over the future of manager Erik Ten Hag, but if he is fired, who might replace him? Graham Potter has been heavily linked with a move to Old Trafford, mainly because of his relationship with incoming sporting director Dan Ashworth. The pair worked together successfully at Brighton. He is also a known ally of Sir Dave Brailsford, who is the minority owner Sir Jim Ratcliffe's right-hand man. What I think is interesting here is Potter has turned down numerous opportunities to get back to the dugout since being fired by Chelsea, most recently at Dutch giant Ajax. It poses the question, what gig is he saving himself for? I think the negative when it comes to Potter is just how much he floundered under the pressure at Stamford Bridge. Would he really command the respect of a difficult and demanding dressing room? That's the question that Ratcliffe and Ashworth will be pondering. Gareth Southgate is another potential successor for Ten Hag. He, of course, is fully focused on leading England at the upcoming European Championships. His future beyond that is open for debate, with many believing this could be his last major tournament in charge of the Three Lions. Like Potter, Southgate is known to be admired by Ratcliffe and Dan Ashworth. Those two worked very closely together at the FA, and indeed Ashworth is a huge fan of what Southgate has done with the Three Lions. His detractors would point out that he hasn't yet won a major tournament despite having so much generational talent at his disposal. I'd always go back to that European Championship final against Italy at Wembley, when I think Southgate missed a big opportunity to finally end all of the hurt since 1966. However, he has galvanised the nation. He's got them believing again in this England team. The players seem to love playing for him. He hasn't managed at club level, Southgate, since being sacked by Middlesbrough in 2006. I think that's also a big negative. He could be one of those managers who's suited to being in the international environment as opposed to the blood and thunder of the Premier League. Thomas Tuchel is the name on the lips of a lot of Manchester United fans. He was a Champions League winner at Chelsea. He led Paris Saint-Germain to the final as well. And as we've seen time and again, that isn't easy to do. He was so close to getting back there with Bayern Munich before Real Madrid's dramatic late comeback. I guess if you're going to question him, maybe his decision to take off Harry Kane in that semi-final would go against him. He's abrasive, we know that. He's got a record of falling out with sporting directors and the powers that be. But I think he's got the ego and the personality to be able to walk into Old Trafford and command the respect not just of the Manchester United players, but of the supporters as well. We also know that Tuchel is desperate to get back to the Premier League. He's leaving Bayern at the end of the season. He feels he has unfinished business after the way it ended at Chelsea. If you were asking me for a standout contender, I think it would be Tuchel. He's not going to be that long-term manager, that building manager that maybe Ratcliffe wants, but I think short-term he would get the best out of an underperforming group of players. He would galvanise the supporters, and I think he'd get United a lot closer to challenging for honours than they have been this season. If I were recording this a year ago, then I think Roberto De Zerbi would be a massive contender for the job. He had a brilliant impact when he replaced Potter at Brighton, leading them into Europe for the first time in their history. He played some brilliant football, regularly left the big guns with bloody noses. It hasn't quite worked out that way in his second season at the helm. He'll point to Brighton's injury record as a mitigating factor, but they're certainly not alone in that department. He's also combative. He's made some comments about the owner, Tony Bloom, that I don't think the owners at United would particularly like. That's probably what counted him out of the reckoning to replace Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool. However, like Thomas Tuchel, he's got the personality, he's got the aura, he's got the confidence, he's got that Italian self-belief that he could walk into Old Trafford and transform this juggernaut of a sleeping giant. Zinedine Zidane is someone who has been linked with the Old Trafford hot seat every time it becomes available, but has never really been too close to taking up the challenge. He was brilliant in his two spells at Real Madrid, but as Carlo Ancelotti has proven time and again, it isn't particularly hard to get Real Madrid winning trophies with all the financial backing and the fan power they have behind them. Doesn't speak English, or not very well anyway. I think that would certainly count against him when it came to this job at Old Trafford. We haven't been given any real indication that he's ready to come back into management. I think actually, if he ends up anywhere, it might well be replacing Didier Deschamps, as the French manager after these upcoming European Championships. He'd bring the stardust to Old Trafford, no doubt about that, but I'm not sure it's the type of appointment that Sir Jim Ratcliffe wants to make at this moment in time. So in précis from our list of runners and riders, if United decide to fire Ten Hag, it's difficult to find that elite manager. Liverpool have discovered that. They're going for Arne Slot. Maybe that might keep the Dutchman in situ for a little bit longer, and he would argue that he deserves the right to work under a proper structure. Whether he gets that opportunity, only time will tell.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.